What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to be back. It's Thursday, and we are back in the lab. We're back on the couch, and I tell you what, it's been a long week.
Oh, yes, it has been.
It's been a long week. I don't know what y'all been doing. I don't know how y'all been making it, but it's been a long week. But we are here. We're so excited. It is Thursday, March 4th, and we are here to have a little conversation with you. Now, I know what you're thinking. We've been talking all week. Don't nobody want to talk, but we're going to talk for a little while, and you can just sit back and listen. So welcome to the couch. We're excited. She's Veta.
That is Mac.
And this is Couch Conversations. So glad that you take the time out of your day every week to spend time with us, to hang out with us on the couch. We're always appreciative of the fact that you spend this hour with us. We look forward to it. Most people look forward to Friday, look forward to the weekend, but we look forward to Thursday night at 9 o'clock because it's our opportunity to hang out with you and your spouse, to be able to share with you, to be able to glean from you a little bit. I learned something about this lovely woman every week that we do this show. It's a joy. And so we're excited. We've been married now for 19 years. And I tell you what, the expression does not get old. The best is truly yet to come.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it. And so that's who we are. We've been doing this marriage thing together for almost 20 years. It'll be 20 years in May. And so we're excited about it. That's right. And so we're looking forward to that. And we have taught marriage seminars. We have taught retreats. We have taught classes. We have written books. We've done a lot of things regarding marriage, but we're not just putting information out there. We've been receiving information over the years. We've taken information in over the years. And so we're able to be sharing with you what we learned through experience, what we've learned through being taught, what we've learned sometimes just by sitting and talking with other couples who've been doing it longer than us. I think sometimes if you're a young couple, the best thing you can do is sit and talk with a couple who's been doing it longer than you.
Yeah.
Because you can learn so much from people who've been doing it longer than you. If you've been married for a year, talk to somebody who's been married for 5. Talk to somebody who's been married for 3. Talk to somebody who's been married for 10. As much as you talk to people who've been married 30, 40, 50 years. Because there's always some gold there. There's always some wisdom there. Yeah. And it's very helpful. So we're here. We're on the couch, as you can see. This show, this program, this concept was birthed because that's where we do most of our connecting. Is on the couch. At the end of a long day, you might find us about this time of day, 9 o'clock-ish, on the couch, kind of looking at each other and relaxing, winding down. Knocked out.
I'm knocked out, so thank you for joining us and staying awake
exactly.
at 9 o'clock.
Listen, thank you for joining us because you keep her awake at 9 o'clock. I'm trying to tell you. But we're glad about it, and we're excited about it. And so we're here. But we birthed this concept of couch conversations because we realized that the lion's share of our conversations happened on the couch. Yeah. A lot of times we would be connecting, and that's where we found ourselves. That's where we were. And so we said, you know what? This is a good conversation. We should share it with somebody else. But our couch, as you can see behind us, not really big enough to bring other folks in. So we said, hey, why don't we just share it with the world? Thank God for social media. Thank God for radio platforms. And thank God for wonderful people like the Awesome God Radio Network who we're partnered with and are helping us to bring this to you live each and every week. There are some dynamic people. The radio network has a lot of wonderful programming. So when you've got some time, I want you to go on Facebook and I want you to search up Awesome God Radio. You'll find them under my description. You can find them under the Happy Spouse, Happy House description. There's links there. They're in our friends list, and you'll be able to get connected to them. So look up Awesome God Radio Network, and I want you to follow them and check out some of the other magnificent shows that are on this network, because we're here, we're the new guys, and they have embraced us tremendously. It's just been a phenomenal time, and so we're excited about it. Listen, tonight's topic, tonight's show, we want to get into something. We kind of alluded to it a little bit last week as we were going through last week's show and talking about a lot of the different things that we were discussing last week. And a few folks had even chimed into the comments. I went back and I read the comments, and there were a few folks who said, I know what y'all going to talk about next week. Because last week's show, couples nightly routines, what are you getting ready for? If you missed it, you can go to our YouTube page, Happy Spouse, Happy House YouTube page, and the Couch Conversations has its own channel there where you can go back and view the old episodes of the show, and they'll be there for you to watch at a later time. So if you missed last week, if you missed the week before, you can go back to the YouTube channel and you can find the old episodes there. We try to upload them every week so that you can catch what you might have missed. But as I was going through some of the comments on the last show, some folks were like, I know what y'all going to talk about next week. And so that's where we are tonight. Tonight's topic, love languages.
Love languages.
Are you talking? Are you listening? Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, Lord, here we go with the love languages again. But you would be surprised at how many people don't really know that love languages exist.
Yeah.
Or even what the 5 basic love languages are. And so it's important that we do know that. But we're not going to spend tonight's show diving into the 5 love languages. If you're not familiar with them, or if you maybe just have heard about them, but you don't know necessarily what they are, you can go on to Amazon, or you can go to your favorite bookstore, and you can look up a book entitled The 5 Love Languages.
Purchase it.
Get the book, and it will help you. Now, I say this to every married couple. Any book that you purchase that's going to help you in and with your marriage, get a copy for you, get a copy for your spouse. Have individual copies. That way, you can read them at your own pace, take your own notes in the margins, highlight, underline, circle, question mark, however you want to mark up the book so that you understand what those markings mean. And then you come back and have a discussion with your spouse based on what you found. But get the book, The 5 Love Languages. Now, it was originally published in 1992 by Gary Chapman, but it was a re-release, a new edition, updated version in 2015. Oh. So either way, you're getting the same quality information. They just kind of brought it up to date a little bit, 2015. But it's The 5 Love Languages. Now, what's most interesting to me, the original title was The 5 Love Languages: How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was very fascinating because that truly is the purpose and goals of your love language. Yeah. If I'm talking to you through a love language, I'm expressing to you my commitment, my love, my devotion, how I feel about you, to you in that way, outside of I love you.
Yeah. And the love language, we had a class before we got married. We were counseled before our marriage, and our vows, our pastor would always say, this is not a contract, it's a commitment. So that's very important to understand, that your marriage is not a contract, because you can get out of a contract.
Absolutely.
It's a commitment.
Absolutely. You get in trouble when you start trying to bring the contractual world into your marriage. Your marriage is, I think another word for commitment might even be covenant.
Covenant.
Because we're trying to bring everything to the table. Yeah. Pastor Robbie Davis at Celebration Church, he explains it this way, and he's allowed me to use it. So when you see me doing a wedding ceremony, you'll hear me explain it the same way. A marriage is not a contract, but a covenant. In the contract, you're trying to get the most out of the relationship with the least investment. Yeah. So you're always looking to fine print. What can I get away with? Mm-hmm. What's the least I have to do to satisfy the contract, but still get the most out of the relationship? Whereas in a covenant, you're giving everything that you have, not expecting much in return, if anything at all.
Yeah.
In the covenant, we're building the relationship up to be the best it can be without trying to focus on my needs or my wants or me getting out the most from the relationship, but trying to make the relationship the most it can be. And when we got that in our marriage and our early on years, that was something that I really tried to implement. I don't know if you noticed, but it was, don't laugh. Don't laugh.
Did you say that's what we got? Or
No, I
learning?
said that's what I was
that's
working
what
on.
you got. I was
See,
like,
Lord
we
have
didn't
mercy.
get it. Early.
You may not. I understood it. It was a challenge. I was trying to bring
not
in.
In the new.
Praise it up. But I was trying to implement those concepts of building up the relationship and building up the marriage to be everything it could be, bigger than me.
Yes.
And I think you'll remember it's a lot of times I would always say there's you, there's me, then there's a marriage.
Yes.
And the marriage must be seen as bigger than any individual in it. Now, the collective is always greater than the individuals. And when we understand that, then it does help to keep everything in perspective.
Yeah.
When you're talking about being with someone else, when you're talking about sharing with a significant other, then what you're saying is, yes, you have your needs, and yes, I have my needs, and you have your wants, and I have my wants, but the marriage takes precedence over everything.
Yeah.
The marriage trumps everything else. When we understand that, it makes the relationship a lot more palatable because I could do what's in my best interest, you could do what's in your best interest, but if our interests are not aligned with what's in the best interest of the marriage,
right,
then we're not going to get very far down the road.
True.
So it's important that we do that. Now, the 5 love languages, how to express heartfelt commitment to your mate. We don't want to focus this show on the book. I want you to go back and read it. But what was interesting to me about the love languages is what they can promote and what a lot of people miss. The love languages, there are 5 according to the book: words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. Not in any order, but that's just what they are listed in the book. My question is, in this new millennium, in the 21st century, are there people who still don't know anything about love languages while they're married to their spouse?
Yeah. There are a few who don't. Well, I don't want to say don't know, but they might not understand it because it's not, I guess, not confusing, but they try to understand it to help their spouse. And some spouse don't get it at all, so they have to communicate and then help each other and learn each other's love language.
Yeah, because if I don't know, first of all, if I don't know that there is a love language, then I'm going to express myself to you the only way I know how. I love you, and that's all you're going to get from me. And I'm thinking, hey, I told her I love her. That must be enough. That's got to be it.
And then if the other spouse who hears that and doesn't receive it the way that their love language needs it to receive it, then it will cause conflict.
Absolutely.
So you have to learn yours, what yours is, and then learn your spouse's, so both of you can be on the same page and continue to love each other.
It's always interesting when I'm listening to couples and they've been together for a few years and they're always asking, oh, is this it? Is that all? Like, is this all it's supposed to be? You know, things are starting to get stale. You hear people say things like that, like, I'm getting bored. It's always the same thing. I love you too. When do you get to the place where you realize that I love you isn't sufficient for communicating with your spouse? Do you communicate how you feel with your spouse? You know, those are the questions that have really jumped out at me. Those are the questions people have even been asking me. How do I talk to him? How do I talk to her? Because they just don't seem to get it.
Yeah.
And I always ask the question, do you know your love language?
Yeah.
Then you have to ask the question, am I connected to somebody who doesn't know how to speak my love language?
Right. Because if that person doesn't get it, then that means that you're not talking to them correctly, or you're not explaining to them what you need. And if that person doesn't get it, they're not listening either.
Mm.
Or either or. You're not talking or they're not listening. So both of you have to be on the same page and communicate with each other and to help each other.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's not conflict.
Yep, listen, you said the C word, conflict.
Yeah.
Listen, the love languages or the lack thereof
Oh.
are at the heart
Oh,
of
the
a lot of
lack
conflict.
thereof. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because people will always say there's no love here. What are you talking about? I tell you I love you all the time. Okay, that's nice and all, but my mama tell me she loved me. My grandmama tell me the dogs are. You hear those 3 words all the time. The question is, am I listening for I love you, or am I listening for you love me?
Oh, that's good.
That's the question. Because I don't want you to keep telling me what you tell the next one. I don't want to keep hearing what someone else has heard. In the 21st century, we must be more clear and concise with what we say. And I'm finding more and more people are not wanting to keep hearing I love you because it doesn't carry the weight it used to.
Because you can say it all day. Your action speaks louder than your words. If you love me, then show me my love language.
There it is.
That's what
There
you have
it
to
is.
do. Yeah.
When you say to someone, if you love me, show me. What you're saying is, you're not speaking my love language because I'm not interpreting your actions as your love for me because you're talking in a whole. I can be telling you how beautiful you are, but if I say it in Italian, you don't know Italian.
Right.
So even it might sound sweet, but you have no clue what I said. And I have watched, I don't have a very large vocabulary in other languages, but I've watched, because I studied French in high school, I've watched people use bad words in French, but they said it was smile, and they had a nice tone, and I'm telling you that your butt stings, and that you're really ugly, but because I'm smiling, you have no clue what I'm saying. Love languages can be a simple way of accurately explaining. But in the 21st century, are we bothering to be fluent in the love language?
That's good. And language is just human communication, like word consisting of words, writing or gesture. Search that on the internet. You know you gotta say stuff now.
That's right.
How we communicate with each other.
Yeah.
That's what language is. How you speak to someone, how they receive what you're saying. And then communication between 2 people, your spouse, becomes a connection between you and your spouse.
Yeah.
So if you're not communicating, you're not connecting.
Right. Right. That's it. All day long and twice on Sunday. It's important that we know, first of all, love languages exist.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. You've got to know that they exist. The once you know that they exist, it is important to investigate them because communication in a relationship is key. It's vital, not just to the success of the relationship, but the longevity of a relationship. Yeah. People say, well, we fell out of love. Well, you just stopped talking to each other.
That's a good point.
Yeah. You just stop talking to each other. Because if I fall out of love with you, it's I'm not paying attention to you. Let's start there. When was the last time I looked at you? When was the last time I talked with you? Listened to you. If we're going to be in love together, we've got to be in the same room.
Yeah.
And we've got to be at least engaging each other in the same activity. And that's not always sex. A lot of times, you'll be in deep, passionate love watching a game. I know a lot of guys who fell in love because she appreciated basketball.
Yeah.
Huh? I mean, one of the things that I loved about you in our early years was how you would allow me to watch the football game. You never bothered me. I love that about you. You would just, oh, okay, he watching the game. I'm gonna sit over here and do what I'm gonna
quiet.
do, or I'm gonna go over there. Okay, it's a
I'm gonna ask
commercial.
questions after doing the commercial.
Right, right. Okay, the whistle blew. Ain't nobody doing nothing. Let me ask what happened. But you respected the fact that I wanted to enjoy the game, and you were there, but you weren't in the way.
Right.
And I love that about you. And those were the things that helped me to fall in love with you then. And I still appreciate those things about you now, even though now you're a bit more vocal, you know a little bit more about the game, and so you've engaged in it. You took the time to learn a little bit about the game so that you can develop your own appreciation for it because you know it was something that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And when we do that, what you were doing, I don't know if you meant it or not, or if you did it intentionally, but you were speaking a love language to me by investigating and then investing in that time and that energy. I wrote a book several years ago, and it's called Divorced Over Toilet Paper. You can find it on Amazon. But in the book, one of the things that we talk about is communication. Because communication is key to this. Is the one I wrote. This is your copy, by the way. I know you were looking for it, you couldn't find it. But in the book, one of the category, one of the sections, chapters is on communication, conversations, and actions. Because we've got to understand, you say just as much, if not more, with your actions than you do with your words. And that's why for a healthy and successful marriage, you've got to show as much, if not more, than you tell.
Yeah, that's true.
We've gotten away from show and tell because we got out of elementary school. I ain't in pre-K no more. I'm not in first grade, so I don't do show and tell. No, baby, let me tell you something. You want decades in with your significant other, you want that forever that you talked about, that you committed to, you have to show and tell. You can't just tell and then walk away.
Right.
You got to show.
Yeah, because so many of us get, I guess I was lazy in a relationship, and all that you did to get the person is lost because you got lazy, and then the other person isn't receiving what they need because you just like, oh, I'm just going receive.
That's right.
And you're not giving.
Yeah.
And then so one spouse will suffer.
Yeah.
While the other one gets everything. So you have to be mindful of the fact that when you're not doing your part in your relationship, that person is suffering. They may not say that they're suffering, or they may say it, or they constantly will say it, and you're arguing all the time, or it's because you are not taking the time to be what you said that you were going to be in the relationship, or what was put up front when you were dating. So you have to be mindful that when you're not showing that love language to your significant other, your spouse, then it hurts both of you.
Yeah.
Not just one of you. It can hurt both of you because you're not doing your part.
Yeah.
And the communication, all you're doing is sharing ideas, thoughts, and feelings with each other. So if you're communicating, then you're sharing with one another your feelings and your thoughts.
Yeah, it's interesting that so many couples will talk about nothing all day, but then when it comes time to talk about what they feel or what they think or how they feel or what they want or what they don't like,
right?
Now all of a sudden I don't have no words.
Yeah.
That's such a challenge. I can tell you about them. I can tell you about the other one. But when it comes to you and I, all of a sudden,
it's a shutdown.
I have nothing. I got nothing
to say.
And if we can't talk to each other about each other,
right.
if I can't tell you, listen, I don't like that outfit on you, or I didn't appreciate when you said what you said. If we can't talk to each other and hold each other accountable, then we're not going to ever have that forever that we want.
And not get offended.
Oh, Jesus.
It's so much offense in the world. Why would you want to come home and get offended by the person that you say you love? Like, don't get offended by everything that someone says to you or your spouse says to you. because they're saying it in love. Some people might not say it in love.
That's true.
There are those who will say something to purposely hurt you, but why would you want to purposely hurt your spouse if you love your spouse or your significant other?
Yeah.
Like, don't get offended so fast. Just communicate with each other and try to figure out how you can work it out together. If you love one another, you can work it out.
Yeah.
Words can either help or hurt.
Yep.
So we don't want to hurt if we love each other.
Yep.
So keep that in mind. If you love someone, don't hurt them with your words.
Come on, kindergarten teacher. Huh? That's that preschool.
That's all I say to the kids. Some kids so mean to each
That's
other.
that preschool teacher.
My mama always taught me, and some of y'all mothers probably always taught y'all, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say nothing at all. But when you're in a relationship with someone, you have to communicate.
Yes.
Even if they hurt your feelings, just communicate out of your heart and your feelings.
Yeah.
And the other person should receive it. If they love you, they should receive it well, not get offended and not get mad and not talk for a whole week.
Yeah.
That's not communicating. That's not helping either one of you. So communicate, couples.
Yeah. One of these days we're gonna do a show on communication, and I'm gonna I may do it on my podcast from a man's point of view, and just offer the brothers some pointers and tips on how to communicate with your wife so that you don't get hit. Because there's
so you don't get
listen. There's an art form to communicating bad news to your wife, so that you don't get hit. I'm trying to tell you. So we might have to talk about that one day. We'll see how that works out. But so tonight we're talking about love languages. Are you talking? Are you listening? Now I know you've been trying to figure out where those two questions come into. Are you talking? Are you listening? You may be talking to your spouse from your love, but not in their language.
That's good.
I might be doing something or saying something to my spouse because I love her, but I may not be saying it in a language that you would interpret as I'm loving you.
Give an example.
I'm glad you asked for that. The best example I can give is the flowers.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You already said that one, though.
Did I talk about that one already?
We talked about the flowers before.
Okay. Okay, we'll talk about you then. So my wife, this beautiful queen here, her love language is acts of service, right?
Yes.
She loves it when I do things around the house, not when I give her money for her nails, because she won't get them done. Or, if I buy her an outfit, oh, that's nice, but you should have got the other color. No, her love language is acts of service in the sense that if she comes home from work and I have cleaned the whole house and it smells like cleaning products and bleach, and you can tell that I've mopped the floors. If the entire kitchen is clean, there's no trash. If I have gotten on my domestication for the day, she is all on cloud 10.
I am.
And then she inspects it and finds what I did wrong. But the point is, her love language is acts of service. Those kind of things. Cooking, cleaning, trash, like you said, making the bed, do the laundry. Those are the things that mean something to her. Watch this. When we first got married, she thought by doing those things for me that I was knowing that she loved me.
That was true.
I come home from work. When we first got married, I'm working 2 jobs. So the days when I only had to work my day job, I come home, dinner was ready. Oh, appreciate it. You did the laundry. Oh, appreciate it. But it didn't mean anything to me. I didn't interpret that as your love for me, because you got to eat too.
Right.
You need clean clothes too. You got to live in a clean house.
I thought I was doing a thing.
She thought she was doing something. And I'm in here like,
I'm had a house clean, I'm having dinner ready. And then he was like, okay.
Thank
you.
I'm
like, oh, you rude.
Appreciate it. Because she was speaking to me from her love, but in her love language.
Not his.
Not mine. I'm not impressed because you do for me the same thing that you're doing for yourself at the same time. Now, I'm a steak guy. I like prime rib. She likes liver. So if she was going to make liver for herself and a nice prime rib for me, now we talking. Because now you know I love prime rib and I don't like liver, so you're going to hook me up with what I like. Now I know. Because here's the thing. When it comes to speaking in your spouse's love language, you're doing something, you're saying something that they would interpret as your love for them. Watch this, because it only means something to them.
That's true.
Hmm?
Yeah.
That's it. The benefit of the action.
Yeah, because if I walk in one day and the house is clean and the dishes are done and the bed is made and the clothes are washed, the trash is out, I am in love, but that will get you to that nightly routine that we were talking about last night. So many of y'all out there like, I don't get nothing it's because you're not speaking her love language. Find out your spouse's love language.
Find it out.
And you will have a different nightly routine.
Listen, I'm trying to tell you that's the first point that I wanted to give you tonight of the three that I have. Take time, write this in your notes, you're going to need this later. Take time to find out your spouse's love language.
Not yours.
Find out how your spouse interprets love that they receive.
Because guess what? It's not about you.
Oh, gosh. Say that one more time.
It's not about you in your marriage or your relationship. It's about the other person.
When you're speaking in your spouse's love language, you're not supposed to benefit from it.
Right.
It's not supposed to make your ears tingle because you're speaking in their love language.
And I just thought about this because you were in my notes now because I was going to say that next. But use your love language to benefit your spouse.
Right.
Because when you're benefiting them, it makes them happy. And ultimately, you want to make them happy. And if you're uncomfortable doing their love language, that means that you need to be uncomfortable to make them happy sometimes.
That's true.
Because if you're comfortable, then that means you're not doing anything to help them. Because you're stuck comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in this box, I'm just going to do this, and I'm comfortable, and I'm not going to move. But who is that helping if you're stuck here and they're wanting more of what they need?
And you're not growing.
You're not growing.
The relationship isn't growing. The marriage isn't growing. You're not growing as an individual or a couple when you confine yourself to, like you said, that one box of, I can do that for you because I know that means something to you. But I'm not doing the extra stuff. I'm not going above and beyond. You're not gonna get me going out here with this extra stuff.
He ain't worth that. Yes, he is.
He should.
He should be, and she should be.
The key is, you got to take out time to find out the love language. Now, if you don't even know, what theirs is, well, that's where the book will come in handy. Get the book, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. It's got a purple cover in most cases, but I think they might have changed it. But that book, get one for you, get one for your spouse. And then both of you read it individually, then come back together and talk about what you read. And because the book will walk you through identifying what their love languages are. I encourage you, once you know what, first of all, it starts with, okay, this is what a love language is, right? Words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, physical touch. Physical touch. That's your boy. That's your boy. Physical touch.
So it's funny because my number one love language is
acts of service.
And his number one love language is physical touch. My number bottom is physical touch. And his number bottom is what?
Acts of service.
So it's so funny.
It's almost polar opposites in the sense that, what works for her does not work for me.
For him.
And what works for me does not work. And that is where it gets tricky. Now, When we say take time to find out your spouse's love language, go through the book, know what they are, know what the 5 love languages are, and then there are Q&As throughout the book. It'll help you. There are little quizzes that you go through, and it'll give you an example. If this means more to you than that, this is probably what your love language is, and it helps you put them in order. But you can do it simple. Write these 5 things down: words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts or gift giving, acts of service, and physical touch. And then rank them: most important, number 1, least important, number 5, and fill them in that order. And then once you know for yourself, then you do the same thing with your spouse. Ask your spouse. That's what you're talking about once the radio show is over. Hey, honey. Hey, dear. Hey, boo. Hey, babe. Whatever you call them. What means most to you? Words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, physical touch. Ask them and have the discussion. Because once you know, now you're empowered and informed and can start changing the conversation, right? But you've got to take the time to know your spouse's love language.
And we want to grow up in our conversation. We
Absolutely.
don't want to stay babies in our conversation.
Absolutely.
We want to grow together and grow in love more.
Yeah.
We don't want to grow out of love.
Yeah.
Because of something that we're not doing to help the other person.
Once you know your spouse's love language, go back through and learn yours. You need to know what your love language is, because you need to understand the actions that you are embarking upon, the actions you're taking. Are you doing them like I used to do, like I still do sometimes, to get the attention of your spouse and let them know that you need to feel love? Like she said, my love language, physical touch. And if I feel like I haven't been touched in a while, we're not talking sex. I want to be clear. Physical touch is literally and simply just that. Physical touch.
Physical touch.
Riding in the car and I'll reach over and grab her hand. Or sitting on the couch and I'll reach over and rub her leg. Laying across her lap. Sitting together in the same chair. Any number of ways where we just come into contact physically. That is what I'm looking for. That's what I need in order to be connected to her. But when I don't feel connected to her, when I don't feel like we're engaged,
right,
I will initiate physical touch, hoping that she'll reciprocate it.
all the time.
You caught that? You caught that? I think he's gonna catch that.
Well, because that's my number bottom.
Right.
So it's a struggle for me. Like for years, I struggled with it because it was my bottom, and I didn't even know it until we actually knew each other's love language. Because he would need the physical touch, and I don't need it. I didn't I was like, stop.
Yeah. It's so fascinating. So many couples that we've counseled over the years, and part of some of the struggles of some unfortunate marriages that didn't make it, a lot of what they complained about could have been avoided if they knew about the 5 love languages. If they knew how to communicate with their spouse in their spouse's love language. I mean, I've been to the United Nations there in DC, and I sat in the room where all of the delegates from around the world meet. And even though they're all in the same room, they've all got their little placards with their name and their country on it. They all have a microphone and they all have a headset. And in their headset is not the person talking. In their headset is the voice of a person interpreting the person talking. Because it does me no good to show up if I don't understand what we're talking about.
That's true.
And in your marriage, there's no point in showing up if we're not speaking the same language.
Right.
And so when you know your spouse's love language and you know your love language, you'll be able to pay attention to the signs that, hey, my spouse needs some attention because they're not getting it from me. She knows when I'm hungry for attention and affection because I start getting touchy-feely. And so she's like, oh, okay. Let me just give him a hug. Let me rub his head, rub his forehead, because he just getting a little extra. I know when she's having a moment because she'll start cleaning stuff that's already clean. She'll come in the kitchen and yeah, you do that. I know it's okay, baby. Baby, all the time. It's okay though. It's okay. I know what you crying out. It's okay. I hear your cry. I hear your cry. But we gotta pay attention to the signs, because your spouse will be quietly screaming to you, "I need love."
And if they don't receive it from you,
That's
they
when
will
they
receive
start.
it from somebody else. We don't want that.
We say it all the time. When you deny a child food on Monday, they're coming back on Tuesday. And if you don't feed them on Tuesday, not only are they twice as hungry on Wednesday as they were on Tuesday and Monday, but now they're getting desperate.
Yeah.
They'll keep coming back out of hope. Eventually, that hope turns into desperation, and they'll start going somewhere else.
Yeah.
And if they don't get what they need, they'll die.
Yeah.
And our marriages are the same way. If we keep denying each other the love and affection and attention that we need as human beings, basic core need as a human being, if we keep denying each other that, we're going to lose hope and become desperate.
That's good.
And it's avoidable if we would simply take the time to not only speak in each other's love language, but listen.
Listen. That's
in each other's love
important.
language.
Yeah. That's so important to listen, because if you're not listening, then that means you can't do.
Oh, say that again for Jesus.
if you're not listening to your spouse or your significant other when they're talking to you, then you can't do what they need you to do. You can't produce what they need you to produce.
Yeah.
You won't be able to allow them to feel love from you if you're not listening. So you have to listen when your spouse is speaking.
Yeah.
Because you may miss something.
That's true.
And you don't want to miss it, because if you miss it, then they're going to come back to it and you're going to be like, I don't remember what you said. And then that will become an offense.
Yeah,
So you have to
mental notes.
take mental notes.
You have to, because otherwise you're going to miss something, and that one thing that you miss will be crucial 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, and that might be the most important thing to that person.
It's a make or break moment.
Yeah.
If you're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to do that. First thing, take time to find your spouse's. Take time to find your spouse's love language. Second point, take time to find out your love language, because you will inadvertently be talking to your spouse. I need love. I need to feel love.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you don't have it. You just haven't felt it in a while. And so you need to be able to do that. And you need to be able to recognize that. Now, it's tricky because there are so many people that we're connected to who don't know how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to teach, right? We've got to teach each other how to do these kinds of things. We've got to teach each other, this is what I need. And then we've got to be patient. That is the best part about forever.
Yeah.
You don't have to get it all right now. As long as you're working on it, as long as you're putting in the work, as long as you're making the effort, that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
That's what matters. The practice makes perfect. Finding new ways to express how you feel to your significant other.
And you get the rest of your life. Marriage is forever. Forever.
It's
ever,
supposed to be.
Ever.
We've got to get to the place where we are realizing, okay, I have needs and I need to do that. Now, here's the key. Maybe you haven't read the book. Maybe you don't want to read the book. You don't have time. You don't have an Audible account where you get the book on tape and listen to it while you commuting to work. Okay, fine. If you need to know what your needs are, Start by looking at how you engage your spouse. There are many people, like for me, I know that I'm a physical touch person, even without the 5 love languages, because that's what I'm always doing to get your attention, right?
Yeah.
Those are the things that I'm saying, okay, hey, I'm flirting, or I'm complimenting you. And like the old expression, I'm fishing, but not necessarily for a compliment, because words of affirmation are not, you look beautiful. Words of affirmation are more like, you got this, you can do this.
Encouraging words.
Right, which is your second love language, by the way. I do that. But if you're not sure, let's say you're not reading the book and you don't have the book. If you need to know and you're not, I don't know what I need. I'm glad you asked the question. How do I find out what I need from my spouse? Start by looking at what you're giving them. Because when we don't know, when we've not been trained, never been to a marriage retreat, never been to a seminar, haven't sat through the Happy Spouse, Happy House marriage enrichment seminar, haven't been to any of those kinds of things. We just got married 2 weeks ago in Vegas. How do I do this? Well, you start by looking at your own logic, because you're going to address your spouse from what you do know. Like you said, you fell back on cooking and cleaning. That's what you thought was right. That's what you thought made sense to you. And you did that until you realized, until you learned that wasn't reaching me the way you wanted it to.
Right.
But you were doing something. And that's the key. It starts with doing something.
And when you're communicating with each other about each other's love language, or what you need or what you want, be truthful. Don't hide it. Don't shy away from it. When you're having a conversation and your spouse says, well, what do you need from me? I don't know. No, tell the truth.
Yeah.
Because if you don't tell them, then they can't do it. Don't shy away from it. I mean, and don't come across as telling them in a mean way. Like, you're not doing it, so I'm going, no.
Right.
Just communicate with each other out of love. That's what we're talking about. Love language, not angry language, not hate language, not disappointed language. Love language. It comes from the heart. If you're loving someone, it needs to come out in love. They have to feel it in love. Sit down, have a conversation. Don't shy away from your spouse. You're going to spend the rest of your life with this person.
Yeah.
Find different ways to communicate. Write a letter if you're not comfortable talking, because some people aren't talkers. Some people are talkers, and the person who's not a talker probably feel that it's too aggressive, like face to face, and it makes them uncomfortable. It might be uncomfortable. So if you're uncomfortable, write a letter. I don't text. Don't text.
No.
Write a letter.
I mean, texting is good for certain things.
Texting is good for certain things, but not a conversation with your spouse.
Right.
Like, have a face-to-face conversation. If you're going to write a letter, sit in front of the person while they're reading either read it to them if that makes you comfortable, or sit there and let them read it. What you wrote, because we communicate differently, and we receive stuff differently, but you want to be on the same page. But don't do it in love.
Please. The third thing I want to give you before we get out of here: practice regularly expressing yourself or your feelings to your spouse, for your spouse, in their love language.
I thought you were about to say, practice what you preach. Remember that song, practice what you preach?
I don't know that one.
Oh,
sorry.
Goodness.
It's okay.
You quoted it me.
Wait a minute. They don't need to know that. I got the boyish good looks going on over here. They don't need to know that. Anyway, yes, I'm older than you. That don't mean I don't know that song. Oh, you talking about Tony Braxton? That's Tony Braxton. That is Tony Braxton.
That is not. That's a.
No, that's Babyface. That's Babyface.
I don't know.
Anyway,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll bring you back that one. Tell you what. Yeah, if you figure it out,
I thought it was a guy.
drop it in the comments.
Drop it in the comments
on Facebook or
I know
YouTube.
my sister watches. She
Send
knows
it
what I'm
on
talking
Twitter. Send it on YouTube or let us know. Okay. Our producer's telling us we gotta move
sorry,
on.
go
Stay
ahead.
focused. Okay, practice regularly expressing yourself and expressing your feelings to your spouse in their love language. For me, there's no greater gratification than to see the smile on her face when I did something that has absolutely no value to me. What I do for her, because it's her.
Mm.
You've heard me tell the story about the flowers when we first got married. And even though it was a fake smile, I love seeing the smile. It meant nothing to her. It's okay. It's okay. It meant nothing. Oh, it's hilarious now. I'm finally over it now. But the smile that she did give me when she saw the fresh flowers, that was a gratification for me. Personally, I didn't like the flowers. I am not a real plant person.
Well, why'd you buy them? Oh, because of my face. Oh, because I was happy when you gave it to me. Sorry. Oh,
somewhere along the way.
I'm sorry. I'm listening.
Somewhere along the way.
My headphones fell on my ear.
I got the notion that women love fresh flowers. Some kind of way, I got it in my head, which like most brothers do, we think that women love fresh flowers all the time. So I'm thinking, okay, I have a new bride at home, so I'm going to bring her fresh flowers. I bring them home. Oh, they're so pretty. They're so nice. Throw the other ones away, put them on the dining room table. And then I find out, okay, I'm not speaking her love language because she doesn't like real flowers. That's not her thing. That's not her lane. That had no value to her.
Right.
You do more harm than good exercising in futility something that has no value to you or your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't mean anything to me and it doesn't mean anything to her, why waste time, money, and resources?
Yeah.
But you don't know that if you don't know the love language. If I don't know your love language, I don't know that the gift giving doesn't really mean anything to me.
Right.
That's low on the list.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm not a big gift giver. I go out of my way and I make things happen. But I'm thinking, huh?
You do good on gifts.
I try.
Yeah,
I do. I try. I do. But in terms of speaking your love language, I have to go out of my way to let you know, here it is. This is the key. This is the kicker. And I want you to lean in close for this one. When you speak to your spouse in their love language, not only is it only benefiting them, but it lets them know that you're thinking about them without getting anything from them.
That's good.
If I know that you love it when this happens and I do it or I make it happen,
right,
and it doesn't mean anything to me, it has no value for me, it doesn't lift me up in any way, shape, form, or fashion, and it might even take me out of my way, cost me a few dollars, but I do it for you. You know I was thinking about you.
Right.
You know that you were on my mind when you were away from me, and you know that I just want you to be happy.
Right. That means more than anything. Just knowing that your spouse is thinking about you.
Yeah.
And knows that you need to be thought about.
Yeah.
Not like not just to get you gifts or not to just hey, I was thinking about you, a text.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I was thinking about you, not wanting to receive something back.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I text you, love you, I'm not just texting you just to receive the I love you back.
Right.
I'm just texting you because you were on my mind.
It also, when you start knowing each other's love language, it also alleviates those moments of discomfort, because now there's not that awkward moment of, oh Lord, what do I do? I mean, how many awkward moments did you have when I'm bringing home flowers that you really didn't care to have?
Oh, a lot.
Right? Because now it's like I'm putting you in an awkward position because I keep bringing you flowers that you didn't want.
Yeah.
But you don't want to hurt my feelings.
I didn't.
So you fake it till you make it.
Did it for like 2 months.
Oh.
I was like, I don't know how to tell them.
Gotta get to the place where we're being honest. If you know that your spouse is doing something over and over again and you don't like it, let them know.
Look, yeah, now we 19 years in, so it's like, I don't like it.
Oh, now we got to the place now where I can tell her, no, that dress does not look good on you.
Yeah, and I won't get offended. Not anymore.
Okay. Amen. It's Thursday, praise the Lord. But the idea is you've got to get to the place where your communication. I'm sorry, what was that? What was that? Oh, that was Siri. Girl, hush. We're in the middle of a show. You've got to get to the place where your communication evolves into the ability, the capacity to handle bad news.
Yeah.
I've got to be able to say to her, no, or that's not the right one, or I don't like it when you do that,
Right.
rather than suffering through it just because I think that it does something for you. And we got to get to that place. Because her brother would have saved a lot of money if she would have told me, no, I'm kidding. I'm staying here. Stay here. Bring it. Love languages. Are you talking? Are you listening? We could have almost did 2 shows on this topic because it's such a rich topic. And we really just scratched the surface. But I want you in the coming days and weeks.
Let's say this is part 1.
We're going to do a part 2? You want to do a part 2? All right.
Because
we'll
we
do a
probably
part
going to
2.
have questions and stuff. We're going to have questions. We got to answer questions.
If you have questions, let us know. Are we going to do it next week, or are we going to bring it up? We're going to do part 2 next week? Or you want to do it later? We'll revisit it.
Yeah, we'll revisit it.
We'll revisit it. All right. So next week we'll have a different topic. But this week, love languages. Are you talking? Are you listening? Make sure that when your spouse is making an attempt to speak to you from their love, that you're listening for their love.
Oh, that's good.
Because you want to make sure that we're talking everything through love. Listen, that's our time. That's our show for tonight. It is already 9:57.
Yeah, and when you're communicating, just make sure you're communicating clearly to your spouse.
Yes.
Don't hesitate. Be clear. They're your best friend. They should be.
Yeah. And you want to make sure that you grow into that. If you don't know how to communicate, well, I don't know what words to use. Well, then that's fine. Start somewhere.
And I do have one more thing.
Talk to us.
Don't compare your relationship with someone else's. That is very important. You are in a relationship with your significant other. What works for someone else might not work for you. And we're just giving our opinion. We're not professionals. This is just what we've been through, and we want to help you. If you need professional help, get someone professional. We're just trying to give you what we've learned in the 19 years that we've been married.
That's right.
So don't compare your relationship with others. What works for you guys will work for you guys.
It has to be that way.
Yes.
My wife has a twin sister. They were born minutes apart, but they are worlds apart, at least in my opinion. And don't get me wrong, I love my sister-in-law. She's a dear, sweet young lady, but she's just not my wife. There's a distinct difference between the two. They do a little bit alike, but that mentally and personality-wise, likes and dislikes, they are very different people. And so what works for my wife doesn't work for her sister. So you got to know that your relationship with your spouse is unique to you.
Topic for next week.
So we're going to pick this up. We decided it. We're going to do a part 2 next week. Love languages, part 2. Are you talking? Are you listening? Next week, we're going to dive into part 2. Make sure you're here with us. We're so grateful. Listen, follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Hit that little bell so that you get notified every time we upload new content. We'll be uploading all of the episodes of the show. We'll also be uploading other little snippets and other little tidbits of information as well. Follow us on Twitter. Happy Spouse HH. Follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page on Happy Spouse, Happy House. Follow us on Instagram, Happy Spouse, Happy House. Make sure you're staying connected. If there's something you want us to cover, if there's a topic related to marriages and married couples that you want us to get into, then let us know. Drop us a DM and let us know. And don't be sliding in the DM or nothing like that, but just send us a message and let us know what you want us to cover. And we'll make sure to bring it to the couch as soon as we can. Listen, that's Vetta.
And he's Mac.
This has been Couch Conversations. We'll see you next week. Good night.